All right, welcome back to LKT'S place. I wonder what we got on the smoker today. Let's go see. We're gonna do pulled ham. Yep, you heard me right. Pulled ham. We also got an experiment going over there with the baked beans and peaches. See how it turns out. We just started this running at about 225 degrees, and we're gonna smoke it for 4 hours. Take it in, put it in the crock pot, and put some pineapple juice, some brown sugar, some honey. Let it set in the crock pot for about 3 to 4 hours. And it should just pull just like pulled pork, but it's pulled ham. And if you never had it before, it's good. We're also going to talk about that Washington, D.C. trip that we took last week, because I need to get that video out. And it'll be included on this reel here. All right, let's close her up. All right, so while we're waiting on that ham to cook, we're actually going to play some video games. And you're not going to hear the video games because we got it on mute. But we're going to talk about that Washington, D.C. trip we took last weekend. So go down to Vienna, get on the metro like normal, and we ended up going to the Smithsonian stop, getting off at the mall. And problem is, I didn't do any pre-planning on this trip, so the museum I thought we were going to wasn't the museum. Well, it wasn't in the location where I thought it was at. That's all. But we actually ended up going to the museum that I planned to go to. But we didn't actually go to the museum. We actually just took a tour of the building, and that's what I need to tell you about. So here's the pictures of the National Mall. They were digging some kind of big hole in the mall area. I don't know what that was about. They're doing some kind of repair, and they had signs all around it saying "Making DC Beautiful Again" and all this, but they didn't tell you what kind of repair they was doing. So, anyways, we walked down the mall and went to the place where I thought the museum that we was going to was, and that wasn't it. That was the National Archives Museum. So what we did is we went over to the National Museum of Modern Art, where it's a little bit cooler inside, and the sweat wasn't running into my eyes. So we did get to go through this cool tunnel in the building there with the lights. Even though the moving sidewalk wasn't running, we still got to walk on that and go down through this tunnel. Here's some video of that, and we come out of there and we replanned the whole trip from outside the museum, and so it was about another block and a half we had to walk past Mr. Lincoln right here. Here's a picture of Abraham Lincoln outside one of the courthouses in D.C. But anyways, we get down to the museum, and I read where the museum was like it said children and adults alike, and I'm like, man, I don't know if this is a good museum or not, but it wasn't nothing like a Smithsonian museum, and you had to pay $10 a person to go through it. So, but I didn't know anything about the building. We walk in the building, and instantly you figure out that this building probably wasn't made just for this museum, but I still didn't know what it was. So there was a tour, a free tour that this person would show you the building, and we went ahead and took that. So what this building actually is, and here it is. It is the former Union Soldier Pension Center Bureau. It was built in 1855 to 1857 by Montgomery C. Megas. Now, see, Congress gave him a budget of $250,000 to build this. That's a lot of money back in 1855. It's a lot of money now, I guess. And he knew he couldn't do it on $255,000. So he just said, let me get started, and I'll just ask more money from Congress because they're not going to want an incomplete building. So that's what happened, and ended up costing $850,000 when it was done. Now you can see these pillars look like they're marble. Actually, they're not. It's actually brick. And it's got stucco on it, and it's smooth to make it look like marble. But here on the outside of the building, he wanted to leave. He wanted to make sure that he left like a monument for Union soldiers that they couldn't take out of the building. So he put this scenes all the way around the building, 1,500 square feet around the building. But there's only like 12 panels, and they just keep reproduced. They just keep going in a cycle. But what they do is they would change before they fire these panels. They're clay panels. Before they fire them, they change the clay just a little bit to make it look like to your eye that was a different panel. So let's look real closely. Some of the panels are the same, but they're not the same. And then he put in these cannonballs and cannons and also the swords here. And so that was meant to be a monument to the Union soldiers. Now, as you get up onto the second floor here, you notice that the steps are wider than the normal steps, because this didn't have no elevators, because Congress wouldn't approve elevators back then. So the steps were, because a lot of people back then used canes, and so they made them a little bit wider than the normal step. That's why the steps in this building is wider. But also, these columns here are made of cast iron, and they're hollow. Well, some of the construction workers, it's rumored that they put newspapers and documents of the time inside these columns. Well, in the 1960s, somebody drilled or burned a hole in one of the columns, and they never fixed it. They just left it that way. So later on, a surgeon with a surgical camera, like this picture here shows where they took the camera, and it was actually newspapers from the 1850s in the column. So that rumor was true. So it's kind of like a time capsule in the building that will never be opened, I guess. But we got to go up onto the fourth floor too, and here's a picture from the fourth floor balcony looking down into the Great Hall, which is one of the biggest halls in Washington, D.C., one of the biggest areas, like as far as the convention center inside the city. And so they actually have the presidential inaugural balls. Here's a picture of Obama's inaugural balls, but it goes way back to even when it was first constructed. They had presidential balls back when it was first constructed, before they even had the roof on the place, I guess. So that was a neat little tour. So if you're ever in Washington, go ahead and check this building out. You just get off at the Judicial Square metro station, and it brings you right out, and the building's like right in front of you. So that was our trip to DC. Now we need to get back and check on that ham and see how that's doing. All right, so we're running about 2:48. Let's open it up and see what we look like. Oh yeah, I hear my beans bubbling over there too. Check the fire. Get some fire there. Alright, one last check of the ham. Oh yeah. We got our beans over here. Beans and peaches. And we're about 142 degrees on the ham. We're going to go ahead and take it off, put it in the crock pot, and finish it off in the crock pot. So now what you want to do is pour the pineapple juice in your crock pot with your ham. And put some brown sugar on it. That should be pretty good. Now we're going to put some honey on top of that, over top of it. And that should be good. Here's the baked beans that we were cooking down on the grill, thicking them up. Baked beans and peaches. They should taste good. All right, there we have it. Pulled ham. And it is good.